Okay.
Okay, got it. I'll call the meeting to order at 10:06. And I have a flag here and we can pledge allegiance to the flag. Can you see it?
Yep.
I pledge
Yes.
allegiance to the flag.
The flag,
of the
United States of America, and to the republic
for which
for which
it
it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and
and
justice
justice
for
for
all.
all.
Okay, the only member of the public is our town attorney. This is public speak, if you'd like to say anything.
Not really. I'm just here to observe the hearing and to be here for you or any members of the board if they have any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Daniel, will proceed to your appeal.
Well, thank you, Georgette, for the board members for allowing me to participate with Zoom. Obviously, I'm outside of Connecticut, so I appreciate the chance to present using this format. Just an update, I did have to refile for two reasons. One, I had gotten to list someone to go through the house if the board members wanted to be able to go to the house. So I've used my sister-in-law, Mary Ann Roy, on the newest sheet. She signed for it, and that went in through Carol Lee. So that was the update. The other addition to the update that I provided was a certified appraisal I had conducted on my house after doing some more research, looking at the general statute and what court accepts in this process. It really comes down to a certified appraisal to be the only way to determine a fair market value. So I changed my sheet to say that I'm submitting that versus just my analysis on what I believe was a fair market value based on that being conducted. And I'll get to that towards the end on picking Linda Fortin and going through that from a process end.
Excuse me, could I interject myself here? The law requires all witnesses to be sworn. If you would
Oh,
like,
you're right.
if you'd like, I could administer the oath, but that's up to you.
I think it's on the form, but I'm not sure.
I can do it. I was the judge, so I think I know it by heart.
It is on the form, Dennis.
Okay,
It says,
and
I do
can
hereby,
okay, I'll defer to the chairman.
I do hereby declare under penalty of false statement that the above statement, according to the best of my knowledge, remembrance, and belief, is a true statement. And he did sign it. So if you want to say, I do again, Dan.
I do, for the recording, I do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good reminder. Okay, continue, Dan.
Okay, so that was the updated appeals form to add an agent in case you wanted to go through the home, and to really just record the appraisal that I had conducted through a certified licensed appraiser in the state of Connecticut. She lives in Hebron, has done it for 40 years, essentially has represented both towns and individuals in appraisal matters, divorces, different situations, processes like this, etc. She also was involved 5 years ago in 2016, representing appraisal for people who came under the same process. So that's why I chose her, and that's going to be kind of the end point I come through with the appeal process. My analysis, which I can share in a minute from a write-up, was first, I wrote in the background of us owning the property at 332 Lake Road. We purchased an existing house at the time, bought it back in 2013, rented it for a while. I was still working with the plans. Once I retired, we would remove the existing structure and rebuild. Went through all the process to do that. House was torn down in 2017. No house there pretty much through 2018 while we constructed, and then we got occupancy beginning of 2019. At that point, there was no real change to the appraisal, even when there was no house there, it just went through, but we were notified once we moved in, that there would be a walkthrough for the house and a revaluation of the property for the town. And that was noted in the 2020 valuation for the property. And that's where John came through and did inspection of the house. I also noted in the write-up, at that point, we heard that the town was doing the revaluation for the 2021. Got a notice to be available to have the house to inspect again. I called John saying we're only there less than 6 months a year, will not be around. Couldn't understand why if it was just done. And John said, yeah, looking at the notes, it is a new build. There's not going to be much change unless you made any additions, which we had not. And essentially said it would be just adjusted for market value, you know, what was been happening in that process. So I didn't expect a lot of increase, but obviously when the increase came in, it was 82% total increase from 2020 to 2021. 82% seemed totally disproportionate to even knowing some of the sales that have occurred. So I started researching that from the system. My first process or my first step through the process was to ask for a hearing with Vision Government Services, which is what the town sends you to if you have questions on what came out. I had a scheduled call with a woman named Mimi Mackey from Government Services on December 6th in the morning. Walk through a bunch of questions that I had. There was a number of them that she could not answer, but she said she would get additional information, get back to me. So that afternoon, we talked again. She had gotten some more information, and then the following day, a little bit more information after talking to John and the town from the assessment end. And primarily some of the things I was focusing on is why so much of an increase and some of the disparity that I saw in and around, especially the lake properties. With that, when I wrote my appeals, I wanted to address three aspects that I saw. First, the land values and how much they had increased. Just the land value alone had gone up 71% just for what was assessed to my 0.41 acres. That was a pretty large increase to me for even if you look at land values. And then later I'll talk about it from an appraisal process. But seeing that value increase, I also started looking with my neighbors and different properties around the lake and how that was being treated. I had asked Mimi specifically in regards to the land. I said, it's my understanding that when the town goes through this process and working with Vision Government Services, you're going to come up with some type of overall valuation for land to be used essentially equal across properties. And she said, yes. This was one of the clarifying questions I had to ask her. I said, what was that value that was established for the process for 2021 for the town of Andover? And she said, well, for the main portion of the town for land per acre, it was $51,000. And that was a 24% decrease from the last time it was done as a bulk. So the benefit was to the town on land values going down 24%. In the area of the lake with land properties, because of some of the sales, both on lots and on houses going up, it increased. I asked her what was the new figure then for the values of land around Andover Lake. That was one of the things she had to get back to me. That afternoon, she called me back. She said she had talked to John. The previous time, land value was 3 times the remaining land in the town. This time, under this process, it had gone up 5.25%. So she said, if you look at that, the 51,000 for an acre lot valuation would be 5.25, which is 200 and I have it in the sheet. It's like $60,000. And I said, okay, if I have 0.41 acres, I wouldn't be paying that type of value of land. She said, it's proportional, but not directly proportional and can have deductions. I asked what would be the deductions. And that's the other area she had to get back to me, which she called back and she said, Mainly, there's 3 that applied on the land around the lake. One was the grade of the land, slope of the land, like whether it's level, whether it's steep, you know, whether you have access to it, you have to park on the road. Other areas was if it gets flooded or is non-usable because it's low and it's wetland, that can be deducted. And then the third that she noted that I had in my notes was foot traffic, both by Alpolo, the Lake Association, and with like if you have public access. So if you have someone having a lot of foot traffic, like the trail that goes around the lake, that can be deducted. I asked what would be an increase, and she said she didn't get any value for an increase. So when they establish that, that's what they can use systematically. So I then started putting out some disparities. 2 lots over next to me, I have what's called a double lake lot when it was originally built on, the 0.41. There's one that's a 4. And the value of that land in the system that's in my report, I'll call up here and share in a minute, was twice the land, less value of land. I asked her how that particular one, because she was on the system when I was on the phone with her, and she looked at that and she said, that must be a disparity that I can put in a note and have that looked at. So everything I was challenging, she was taking notes that she would run back through. Bottom, after I asked all the questions with the hearing with Government Vision Services, no changes were made. So I never got any response on why a 0.82 lot, 2 houses over to me to the left, to my 0.41, was actually less value on land, not even considering the house. She thought it was a disparity from, you know, speaking on behalf of the company, but she said that would be reviewed more from John and the appraisal department on from a consistency. So when I started looking at the land around the lake, I also started expanding it based on her comment that it went down everywhere in the town as a benefit, and how that could be, because overall land values shouldn't have decreased. Now later, Linda Fortin explained to me, the appraiser, the certified appraiser brought in, land value being appraised by a certified appraiser as an open lot compared to a house being on a lot is like apples and oranges. And what she meant by that is if you take actual sales of property, just lots, you can do a comparison in an appraisal process. What's a lot of value to one lot to the other, because it hasn't been touched. Once you build on it, that lot really becomes consistent to whatever was the decision with the house. So like back when I bought the house in 2013 for $240,000, tearing it down, you could say I pretty much just bought it for the lot because I didn't want the house. But most of the times when appraisal looks at land value, unless it's a standing lot that is more desirable, it can be used in any way. Whoever buys it can say, I want a house here, I want it this way, I want to modify, I want to landscape it. So the actual value when you do comparisons is lot to lot, being empty. Once you start putting houses on it, trying to come up with that value, the reason that government services stuff tries to put an overall picture of what it should be is it's not a straight. But I asked this question. I have bought plenty of raw acreage to build houses. I've gone into development. I've built 4 houses over my lifespan. When I've bought a lot that was consistent within a development, whether the houses were in or going to be put in, the larger the lot, the more value it had, both in real estate for actual market value, and 2 from a tax situation. So an example, if I went into a development that had 1 acre lot and the next to it was a 2 acre lot, I wouldn't expect the same sale price listed on a bank lot to purchase. It's not always a direct double, 1 acre and 2 acres, you get to look at it. And the conditions that were listed for Andover Lake, like lowlands. I bought a piece of land to build on in Fremont, New Hampshire, in a development that range anywhere from 3 acres to 15 acre house lots. I bought a 7.5 acre lot. 4 acres of that 7.5 was in wetland. So it's non-usable. And so I knew the price going in was going to be lower if I chose to build on the front end of that property. So when you're looking at land values, it's not always an exact science. However, she agreed when I was talking to Mimi and I talked to Linda, usually the more the land, the value would be proportionally up. So the two tables, I'm going to try to share my screen here. Go to my Word document. Hold on. Share. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Oh, we can, you.
Okay.
Got it.
So what I tried to do in my analysis when land values, everything I just talked through was kind of the proportionality, is I tried to levelize or normalize, you know, what would values of land around the lake, which in this area here is all lake property. Then later, if you just start looking at acreages in the town and you try to do a comparison of what that would come out per acre lot. The one I was referring to a minute ago when I first got on and talked to Mimi, my property is 332 Lake Road, which is the green, the PID number, 0.41 acres. It essentially says the town's evaluating your land at 301,300. That, if I did what would be a roughly calculation of an acre, what would that come up per acre? It's 734. The one that's two houses over, right here, 326, is double that. That was an existing 4 lake lots, or a total of double of mine, and it's 300,200. And so you can see the cost per acre. This is where if you just want to evaluate acreage with existing homes and not lots, what those values were. The disparity is greater when you start looking at, when I talked to Mimi and she said they roughly were using a 51,000 per acre. You can see the values that the town set on some of these lots. And I tried to take lots that were in subdivisions with kind of executive homes, you know, really good standing, level lots, 1 to 2 acres within the town that I could peruse around the system and try to find. And again, there was quite the disparity. So when it comes to land, it really, when you step back and look at an analysis like this, the lake is taking a burden of the cost in the overall assessment compared to the non-Andover Lake area. That's number one. Number two, that might be pushed proportionally because house sales is what you use for fair market value, and some properties did sell on the lake. The Connecticut statute, as I read it for fair market value, is supposed to take a look at it, what's consistent. In talking to Linda as a certified appraiser, you try to throw out highs and lows. An example, if there's a bankruptcy and a court sells a piece of property in a house for well below market, the town shouldn't pivot and say, now that's a new market value. Or if someone goes and pays more money than what was listed and it's higher, you can throw out. It's supposed to be a rough average of market value. It's very hard to separate out the land, but to me, what this land value pointed out is this disproportionate high to have overall house evaluations, total properties around the lake, higher than market and higher disproportional than the town. You can go to the next table where I did a comparison, is how much did land value increase in the 2021 value to previous years. If you notice on my house in 2015, my land value per the town records was 185. It actually dropped 5% to 176,300. But the new value of 301,300 as a comparison is a 68 or a 71% increase between 2015 to 21 or 2020. If you come down on those existing lake properties I showed, you can see how much of a variance land value in the system for the town is changed. So you take all the properties, some only went up 20 to 33%. Others. This is the same lake area, same land. The system is showing a very wide disproportionality of value increase for the same existing acreage, same existing lots. We're not talking lots were leveled, totally reconstructed. These are the same properties that are existed. One of the properties on the lake, that's lakefront property, actually went down to both years. Don't know why. When you go to the rest of the town and you pull the same properties I have, you can see the variances that have occurred is all in the negative. That means the benefit of land value going down in properties in Andover that are non-lake from 2015 and 2020 now to the 2021 had a wide swing. This particular value, one of the comments my appraiser, Linda Fortin, had said is land has not gone down. You know, if anything, land has gone up or maintained. So this disproportionality, even though I'm appealing just one property, is significant if you look at it from the overall process. This is where someone with, how did this all go down for the entire town, look at it, and why is the lake so disproportionate to the rest of the town and values of land? And then across, why is there such a wide swing on land values? So that was my first pitch, was the land values does not seem right. Now I want to point out something that occurred. When I first wrote my appeals, my land value was 301,300. When I went to have my appraisal done, my appraiser said, why did you tell me your value of land per the town was 301,000? I said, because that's what it is on my sheet. That's what I got in the mail. That's what Vision Government Service. She says, I'm in the system right now, and the value of your land is 90,000. On February 4th, in the system, my property value was changed, went down to 90,000. The difference of 201,000 got transferred over to the house price. I printed out from Vision Government Services on February 4th, that sheet showing that my land, I had the appraisal done noting that. And then last week I went back and looked again, and it's back to the same value it was before.
I can explain that if you want me to.
If you could.
When I went in and talked to the assessor to find out about these values of the properties and the lots, he said, unless it's an empty lot, you cannot sell it, the land. So you have to take the whole property as a whole. He said, I can lower the price of that land and add it to the price of the house. It'll still be the same. And he showed me, and he did it as an example. So that's why it showed up in the system. So it wasn't any kind of, tomfoolery he was doing. He was just showing me how he could lower the value of the land and still have the assessment or the appraisal be the same. That's why it went back to what it was before.
Okay, so he used as an example that he can make
Right.
land artificial to a pricing.
Right.
So for the board members, what is the process that Vision Government Services was told to use for consistency of land value for this process?
I don't think there is a consistency. Waterfront property has gone sky high over the years, and it started a number of years back when somebody from New York bought a little tiny house down the street from me and paid, I think it was like 500,000, which normally would have been about 200,000. And from that point on, waterfront property just seemed to, get very, very high. And especially on your side, because the water is deeper. And over the years, I've been involved with the Lake Association for many, many years. And over the years, it's a man-made lake, and it's naturally wants to return to land because that's what it was before. So the shallow parts of the lake, the sun beats down and it causes growth on the bottom of the lake. And then that growth dies And of course, then it makes it shallower, and this goes over and over and over. And the Lake Association had talked about trying to dredge out areas of the lake that had been filled in, in different coves and stuff. Where 17 Lakeside Drive is, it's a big, beautiful house, and it once was on the market for $1 million, but the waterfront's not good. It's a big piece of property. So there are a number of houses where I think the value is a little lower because it's not an area you can swim in. We have one appeal that claims she can't be charged as waterfront because there's wetlands between her house and the lake. Well, it's not wetlands, it's become very swampy and shallowy. So I think probably taking into consideration the fact that over in your area, the water is deep and you can swim there, you can get into a boat, you don't have to drag it through a swamp. And that might have something to do with increasing the value.
That's a pretty wide value from 71 to -19 on lakefront properties. All those top are lakefront properties. I can see that you saying, but that was not a condition that Mimi told me could deduct off a land value, the depth of lake in front of your property. What they did said is if your property flooded, which wouldn't allow access, it can be deducted. Or if it was too steep to gain access, but I didn't hear depth of the lake in front of it would change property value or land values that much.
I don't know. You've got my house on there, and we are well, let me put it this way. At the road level, we're level with the road, but we have to go down three layers to get to the water, and you can't swim there because it's very shallow and rocky.
Okay,
So you have to.
That's which property?
117 Lakeside.
Okay. Yeah, my end on this, Georgette, just to be clear, is that's a pretty wide disparity both on lake properties for value of land and when you compare from a town end.
True enough, but it's a lot more valuable being on the water. The lake area has always been higher valued than the town because of the fact of the lake. If you're across the street and you'd have, full vision, then you're called Lake View, and it's a little cheaper than waterfront, but it's still much more than in town. You put my house somewhere in town, it would go down probably a good 100,000 or more.
Right, but the disparity that I'm seeing is even greater. When Mimi told me the last time the town did this 5 years ago, lake value land was 3 times of the property. Now we're saying market conditions, lake land alone is 5.25. That distortion compared to other properties in Connecticut, how does that compare? Because there's other lakes. Like when we get to my appraisal process, there's all lake properties that were chosen, just to compare apples to apples. It's hard to compare, like you said, take my house and put it somewhere out in Andover, how much the overall value, because I bought to be on a lake. I agree to that. I know that's part of the value. But this much of an increase in value is the question I have. John Chaponis on the 31st in front of the board members said the average value of the lake went up 43% because of market values and all those properties you're talking about. 43 is pretty far off from 82% that I saw as an increase.
Well, that, like I say, he could lower the price of your land, but it would just be added to the value.
Well, yeah, and that's why it's going to come down to what the court accepts as a market value per the statute. And that's why I went and paid for that. That's why I went and got an independent one to go to court and be able to say, this is what can be accepted. The government vision services numbers will not be accepted. The town would have to do like they did in 2016, pay for an independent appraisal, and then look at those numbers compared. And that's why I went out to do that. But let me move on, George, at the time. That was why I addressed the land to bring to the board members.
We really need to do the whole property, including the house and everything.
Correct.
To really be.
Correct.
Okay,
So then what I moved into for the second part was square footage price valuations. In my case, I have in living square footage 1666 and gross 5206. For the valuation they told me on that property in the town records would be 571 300. If you want to normalize, and it's similar to, if you go to build a house and you say, I want a 3-bedroom versus a 4-bedroom, a 5-bedroom, with, like I said, when I bought houses, I dealt with building houses versus buying houses because you get what you want. But then what you put into it, what you pay for square foot is usually the number you had. What I didn't understand is how the value of my house in proportion to square footage with lakefront property equivalencies was so much higher per square foot. So what this table shows in my house for the square footage I have and what the town's saying that the value of the home was, in the living square foot, it comes out to 343, and in the gross square foot, 110. When I compared across other houses, I saw that a lot of quality homes, A plus quality homes, that figures well off. One of the questions I asked to Mimi Mackey is, why am I an A++ to begin with? What is the process of that? What she explained is that is a standard checklist to use for quality of homes.
mhm,
And essentially, you go through the checklist. The towns can choose how much of a scale they want to use. In the case of a scale of a full scale, the upper end, which is where I'm placed, is what she called a customized custom home. She said mainly where they see those homes are down along the shoreline. That is when someone gets a customized kitchen versus just getting local to New England granites. They're going to import from Italy marble and put stuff in that's a much higher quality. It's what they want, and therefore the market of that house would go up. Knowing when I built my house, because it's a budget and I was only going to live there for 6 years, and what I paid to build that house, including demolishing the other house and the square footage, there is nowhere that I went beyond standard. And so I really started questioning an A++ rating. Then when I compared the houses that I could see physically as I walk around the lake and know some of the quality, and some of the ones that sold, like 75 Lakeside, the 995 that the town points to as a high sale within this process,
mhm.
is only listed at an A. Yet during appraisal, it's listed as superior quality construction compared to mine listed as good. I then went later into some of the executive homes, or what I would call an executive home, larger homes in the town of Andover, and nothing got over a B+. What Mimi explained to me is that sheet is supposed to be referenced to, and the only notes that she had is I had cathedral ceilings, up kitchen with a sink, which is just a farmer's sink. And she didn't know why my graded out to an A++. This is another disparity that when you go to look at the quality of homes, and in the case when Linda looked at it, she can go through the full LMS and do a tour of the home. Her own comparison showed I shouldn't be at that type of quality. This is not supposed to be an arbitrary. This looks like it's more backfitted in the algorithm that's used in the system. That if you look at the square footage and you drive it and it flags, the only way it could be graded at that house having that type of price in the market is if it was on a very higher end quality, which mine is not. So the square footage was off and the grade is off. Those are two things that I addressed in my appeal, saying at minimum, just the new houses that were built being listed as an A that are on the lake, and looking at it, I would have thought I would have come in at an A at best. So I'm not sure how the board looks at these grades being established when it's supposed to use a reference checklist. And the fact that Mimi said most towns that there were smaller towns like Andover don't even use the full scale because there's no advantage of having that much property that has to grade that way.
Could I ask you a question? On the appraisal that you got for 75 Lakeside Drive, where did the word Superior come from, her or somewhere
Yeah,
else?
so, yeah, let me call that up. Let me start sharing there. And let me go to,
I have it here in front of me and hers is the only.
yeah,
one
I'm
that
trying
says
to
Superior.
bring it up so I can point it out, Georgette. Let
I
me,
don't see it on the field card, so I don't know where it came from.
hold on, I gotta find where I have it open. Not there, not there. Oh, here it is. Share.
It would be like the.
All right, can you,
page.
oops,
It's the next page, I think. Or, yeah, try 1 or 2 pages more.
hold on. Let me,
I don't know what that is.
well, that's not it. Trying to, hold on. I got too many tabs up. I gotta find the tab that I have hers open in.
I don't see Superior anything here, so I don't know where it came from.
Yeah, let me, I gotta find the PDF. There it is. All right, let me go back here. Go to share. Hit share. Can you see my screen with the appraisal?
No, I'm seeing, you got to click on that, I think.
Well, this is,
It says Andover 332 Lake Road appraisal, but it's just a listing. It's not the document itself.
why,
Well, it's okay. I mean,
I'll tell you the page. I'll try to find,
it's only the 2nd or 3rd page on it, so.
see if
I
it
just
pops
don't-
up this time. Does it show now?
Yeah, that's the first page, right?
Okay. But
And
what
that's-
she did is she took, this is my property, and she
Right.
took 224, 75 Lakeside,
right.
57 Ames, which is another lakefront property on this
Go back
page.
down, go back down, go up to the page before.
Yeah, right here is
Where
Superior.
it says Quality Superior. I don't know, because I'm looking at both your field cards and everything is almost the same, except you use gas, propane, hot water heat, and they use oil hot water heat because the original owner, they
Yeah,
belong to
so
an
you-
oil company.
So what you do is you go to this here.
Okay,
This is the comment section.
okay,
And when she goes down through, she says, why did she mark up? Let me go to the page where, why did she mark that superior in the comments? Is these sales comparisons? So sale 1 is the older home. That's the lake, that's on a Lake Road to 224. Sale 2 is the 75 here. And this is where a new home on Andrew Lake, this dwelling is locating, and it goes through all the construction materials. So this is where she puts her comments, has radiant heat on the first floor, custom flooring. They went above on the flooring with mahogany. You can go in, Georgette, and look at the pictures that she has from the LMS listing that shows all these features. Counters the cabinetry, the yard work, the landscape. That's why on that 75, when she had to put in, there was 2 homes that she listed superior.
see,
Back
I
up
don't know
here.
what they mean by landscape, because it's a wooded lot. We could never understand why he blocked his view, because he has, well, the original owner has the view of almost the entire lake, but it's a totally wooded lot, so
Right.
it doesn't
Well,
have eye
what-
appeal. or
Yeah, what
cover
she's
view.
doing is she's this is the pit, let me go to the picture. Whoops, I'm sorry. These are the pictures of the 5. I'm trying to go where she goes to the
That's
comparison.
your
houses,
house.
right
Yeah,
here.
yeah, okay.
All right, so this is 224. This is the one she says is superior here.
No,
One
it's
of-
75, isn't it? 75 that she says is superior. Okay, that's the,
Correct.
yep, that's
This
it.
is the one. The
Right.
comments that I was saying to why with the radiant heat,
Mhm.
the types of flooring that they put in. So when you go down to that house, when you get to the actual pictures from the LMS, this is 224. It shows to the board members everything about that house, including the interior. These are the pictures here of the quality that she's talking superior.
Now,
But
is
on
that 224 or 75?
this one's 75. So if you
Okay.
look at it, this is the one that sold for 995,000,
Right.
Georgette.
Yes.
So her comment on this and the house that's on Columbia Lake that has pictures in here shows you why she lists those as superior, where the other houses, including mine, was good, which is pretty much standard. It's quality, it's good.
Mhm.
This house in the system for the Andover town right now is an A. Mine's an A++. These are the pictures you can look at from the board when she's giving you the comments of the interior and exterior and the higher quality and why it sold for so much. And then the other one that's on Columbia Lake that she lists here. Whoops, that's Hebron still.
Yeah, I really didn't pay a lot of attention to that because I don't know the house. And Columbia Lake is a little different in that they allow motors and it is a natural lake, so. the-
Right, which was
the
some,
Values might differ.
which was some of her comments.
Yeah,
So the real, when it came down to it, what I asked Linda to do, I said, you're independent, you go do it, because I'm not trying to sell my house. I'm just trying to figure it out based on the
Sure.
town's appraisal. What is the market value? Because that is what has to be presented from a court, is what is true market value. So her number that she came up with is $765,000. She used all comparables to lake properties versus trying to find homes equivalency. And it's all with recent sales. So in the system, it says the types of appraisals you can get is based on sales, based on costs, like if you're comparing building a house, cost for cost, or income. Those are the three types of appraisals you get. So the ones that get presented using this process is on sales. Because we didn't have a large amount of sales, but she had to have enough. That's what the board members are seeing. That appraisal I was just going through is her comparing across properties. And the two things is my current market value, fair market value, she did as a certified appraiser 765. So that's a number even higher than I was accepting on my original appraisal, but she's saying that's what is at a current timestamp. What I also
108,000 more than, I mean, less than what the appraised value was.
correct. So that's what my position today is, going from the board and saying that is the fair market value through the process that the state would accept. So I'm asking the appeal boards to accept that value and put it in. So even though I thought it was even a lower value, I've got to accept that in the sense of that's what the market would bear right now in her mind from doing this process.
Well, I mean, I could see maybe taking a little off, but your house is beautiful. It has lovely eye appeal, curb appeal, whatever. It's on a good part of the lake. And when I look at some of these other houses, like 17 Lakeside, I mean, that sold for over or appraised for over, appraised for over $1 million. And that waterfront is terrible because that used to be or called the Red Barn, and that's where the Lake Association owned it and all that. So I've been there many, many times, and it's swampy. So I'm thinking that part of the reason that your house is valued higher is because you probably could get more money than what she's saying for it. It's a beautiful house. The landscape.
Georgette, I'm not saying it's not a beautiful house.
Right,
The process is fair market. And the process that the board oversees for the town is the entire process. So
right.
there's two things. One, you can look at the value of my property and what it was assessed based on my challenge of what's the inconsistency. But the other aspect is a class action suit to the town on the disparity between the lake property and the rest of the town. There is a lot of disparity here that, to me, you need to step back and look at and challenge, because it's not a fair system. I'll pay my fair share. And I just found out what that is to go to a court of law is $765,000, more than I thought my house is valued. In the long run, I even told my brother this, I don't need the higher carrying costs for a 6-month home. So yeah, I might have to find out what the market is. And then maybe a family comes in and lives there year round and gets the full value of paying taxes. But to me, from a process end, there's too much disparity on the town putting disproportionate value on the lake and less than the rest of the town, number one. And I see it with my own property of what's happening, 82% increase.
Well, as far as the value of the town versus the lake, that's a no-brainer. People would rather live on the lake. If they want to live on the lake, they're going to pay the price. I mean, mine went up too, but you know, I just figure I've got all the recent sales from the last 2 or 3 years, and it's amazing the amount of money people are paying for a little tiny house that really, you know, you'd think it wouldn't be worth it. But when I look at all these sales, in fact, John Chaponis gave copies to all 3 of us board members of all the recent sales, so we could see just exactly what, you know, what the houses are going for. There's one on 83 School Road that's just sold for $745,000 in 2017. It's now valued at $920,000, and it technically is waterfront, but you got to go down through the woods to get to the water. So I think we're trying to be fair. You're not going to find people paying the same values for town property than lake property. That's kind of a losing battle.
So the sales of properties in the rest of the town of Andover is the same proportionality. So for every development that I looked at executive homes, if I took out how the sales of properties were there proportionally, did that change the same amount under this assessment? Because John said it only went up, I think it was 18%. Are you saying that the only higher sales in the town of Andover that occurred that were used in this process were the lake ones was proportional? Did he provide you all the values that you were equal to? Because that would be a disparity if you're not using all the values on those properties as well.
He did say that the town, the non-lake area did not go up in the same percentage that the lake area did. They went around the lake area 7 times to try to be fair and make sure.
No, I understand that, Georgia.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is the comment you made to me is you're surprised what John provided you for sales prices around the lake and percentages that went up. Did that not occur on other properties in the town of Andover?
We
So
didn't.
if a house sold for $400,000, then the rest of the properties on that street and valuations saw that impact of an increased sale.
I don't have any figures on that, but you have to realize.
Well, but the
of-
system shows that it is disproportionate on
Most-
actual sales in other neighborhoods. And that's what I'm saying. You've got to look at, I can accept value of lake properties higher than the norm, and it's gone on an increase. But if you accept it's a much larger increase for the overall town without considering how the rest of the sales went to other areas of the town, if it's disproportionate, that is not a fair system.
I don't think it is proportionate. Really, I mean, most of the appeals, I think all but two, are all in the lake area. They're all waterfront properties. And so
Well,
there wouldn't be
if
any
I'm in the other
reason-
area of the town and let the lake pay for the difference, I can see why they wouldn't go in front of the appeals board. But I'm saying if it gets exposed in the court of law to take a look at sales that occurred that should have been used in the system at the same way. So take a neighborhood, if 3 sales went down and the prices of the valuation stayed the same or slightly went up and aren't showing the increase, you'd be accepting the lake increase for the sales, but not the rest of the town. That's disproportionate.
I'm not quite sure what you're trying to say.
If John has convinced you that the sales had to go up that much around the lake because of actual sales that occurred,
Yes,
for fair market, what is the same amount of increase in the areas of the town that didn't go up? Is it the same proportion? Was sales prices actually considered? Did he give you a list of some of the other neighborhoods like that I was pointing out?
no, but I didn't ask for it. I just
That's what
wanted
I'm
the
saying.
recent sales.
That's what I'm saying. That's open exposed because all recorded sales have to be in. If they're not being put in, or if they're not proportional, you have a disparity in the system.
Let me see if I have any of that. Let's see. Now this is School Road. Okay, there is, well, that's also lake property. They do have waterfront. I don't really, I mean, I have a couple of appeals here, but one is for a carport. You
No,
know,
I'm just looking at.
I don't have what you're looking for because I didn't, if we don't have any appeals about it, I know that it probably did not go up as much in the towns. I doubt if anybody's went down, but you know, if they went up a smaller amount. Is that what you're trying to say? Smaller percentage?
No, what I'm trying to say, Georgia, is if I tell you an area of the lake, I can prove is that it has gone up. John on the 31st said it averaged 43%.
Right.
The figure I'm giving you right now on a certified appraisal is 60% on my house. At 765, not 82 what the town's saying. So if you say you accept that he says values have gone up and my house went up 82% when he said it averaged 43, I'm still on the higher end. I'm still grossly overvaluated, even though I have a nice house at standard, $765,000. And the town's saying, no, it's not 765. Fair market value per us is 873, an 82% increase. So I'm saying it's overvaluated, even with John giving you as board members recent sales and going on record on the 31st saying, yeah, the lake went up 43%, the rest of the town was 19. But I'm almost double what he's quoting there.
Mm-hmm.
That is a too high of a valuation. Because of time, Linda, do you have any questions?
No, I was just gonna say, John at our meeting a few weeks ago said that he would accept a certified appraisal as fair market value, right?
No, he said, what he said was that we can consider it. He didn't say that we would take the numbers from there. He said we could
Okay.
consider it, okay?
All right, well, I mean, this is all above my expertise, but I would be comfortable with accepting the certified appraisal report of 765.
But that's
That would be my opinion.
$108,000 off.
But
And,
it is, that's what the report says.
you know, that, again, that is the opinion of the appraiser.
No, it's a
I'm sure there's a lot of
certified
fact behind it.
appraisal from the state of Connecticut. Someone's done it for 40 years and gone to court.
I agree. I
John
mean,
cannot represent his numbers in court. The town has to pay for an independent certified appraisal to go to court. If I go to the next step, Linda goes to represent me with the same report. So what you're saying, Georgette, is in your appeals, acting independently as an appeal board members,
Mhm.
what I produced is what the courts would accept. And what Linda just said in your charter type, if you can prove that she used it by process, which is all certified, she's not just licensed, she's certified, and she's
Yeah, I
from the
understand.
area and done many properties. That is what they would accept. They would not accept John. He's not an appraiser, he's an assessor. And the town will have to pay for another independent. And if it comes out the same, then the town would have to accept the 765. So I'm saying, I'm coming here, accept the 765 because I followed the law.
John has been, done the job for many, many years. He's gotten all kinds of awards. He's very good at what he does. So it's a matter of, is she superior in what she does, or is he superior in what he
The
does?
court would not accept his work, Georgette. You have to get a certified appraiser. Matter of fact, the name of the last one was Regis Rapinelli from Buckley Appraisal from Niantic.
Mhm.
And he lost and Linda's won, and the town ended up accepting Linda's value. And she's doing 6 right now in the town again. And it's all on the lake for the same reason you're getting the
I
appeals.
know,
and it's
I've got them
disproportionate.
all. But, you know, you have to realize too that generally when property values go up, the mill rate comes down. So you end up sometimes paying just a little bit different than what you did before for taxes. But if I take off, you know, $100,000 on yours and all the 6 that I have, that's a lot of money. And so that leaves the rest of us to pay the difference in the mill rate. And that I don't think is fair either.
And
So,
I'm telling you, if the process was fair and the lake values were comparative with the Andover, I would accept it. I accept 765. Even though I paid a lot less than that, I gotta accept the fair market value. Fair market value by a certified, licensed person in the area, 40 years, gone to court. My next step would be to sue the town and bring it in front of the judge in New Britain and say, just like 2016. But the lawyer, Dennis, you might want to go back and look at the notes of that particular case, because everything I followed that case from the start. You've
it's
got
true,
to
but
look at it from a standard of what is fair. I understand as if mine goes down to a few others, but the other end is there a benefit to the other town that didn't pay their fair share? They're getting a lower rate. 82% increase to me is the disparity I'm pointing out. 60% I'll accept.
well,
Should I go ahead and make a motion, Georgette?
If I
Since
may,
it's only you and I.
before you proceed,
sure.
I just want to say a few things. I'm not here to make a decision on this case. I'm not the elected member of the Board of Assessment Appeals. I think Mr. Roy has made a very impressive presentation. I have been involved in several cases in New Britain, Mr. Roy, which is my hometown, by the way. And I always like going there because it's a nice trip. I don't handle those appeals for John Chaponis. He has somebody else who does that. But an appraisal is definitely weighty evidence, an independent appraisal, but it's not conclusive proof of value. And I think you're not saying that. I think you agreed that, you know, John could come up with another appraisal if he had to go to court. And I think this is a very difficult case. When I was judge of probate for many years, I had to play assessor to some extent, or to play appraiser to some extent, because sometimes there were properties in estates where people in families would fight over them because one person would want to buy the property, and the rest of the family would say, well, you're going to have to pay a lot more than you're willing to pay. And so I would go, and the one thing I would do, and I don't know if you all have been there and walked through the place, I know that you're familiar with the property to a great extent, Georgette, because you live over there apparently. And I didn't know that, but I got that from what was said today.
Yes,
But I know one thing, I would never make a conclusion in a case like this. This is a very complicated case.
it is. It is.
Mr. Roy has he's done a very good job of arguing his case.
I agree.
And I haven't, you know, if I were the judge in the case, I'd want to read, I don't have the benefit of the entire appraisal in front of me or the other data that he had. I saw a little bit of it, but I would definitely want to make a visit to the property. I can say this, that I am somebody who loves to swim. And when I was younger, my wife and I looked at lake properties all over the place. And we decided even at that time that they were too expensive for our limited budget. So we ended up buying a house and then putting a huge pool in the backyard that I could see from here. And I can't wait until the weather gets warmer because I love to swim. So I think deep water, I myself, Mr. Roy, if I had deep water in front of my place, I would consider it a hell of a lot more valuable than if I had to go through, you know, very shallow water with rocks on the bottom. I have tender feet, but that everybody's different. Everybody's different, and I haven't seen your place. It sounds real good to me, but it sounds real small too. The land is not. There's not a lot of land there, so I think this is a very tough case to decide. And I certainly wouldn't, if I were on the Board of Assessment Appeals, I wouldn't want to make a decision on it without really taking a close look at the properties, that your property, Mr. Roy, and also the adjacent properties and whatnot. But, you know, evaluation is a hard thing to do, even if you're a licensed appraiser with a lot of experience. And you might get somebody else who would come in and, you know, put it higher or put it lower. So it's really a tough call. And I just want to say that you've made a really, really fine presentation on your own behalf. I'm impressed, but I still wouldn't, I wouldn't make a decision without being over there and checking it out really carefully, because there, you know, you're talking about a lot of money in terms, a lot of money in terms of the appraisal anyway. I don't know what the taxes will be. That's what's really important. But in any event, this has been an interesting hearing. I didn't expect the kind of presentation you made on your own behalf. You were a very good lawyer for yourself, Mr. Roy. But at the same time, you don't know what's going to happen in New Britain. I am very empathetic to the Board of Assessment Appeals, because this is a difficult case. And I don't know what I would do. I know one thing, I want to see the property inside and out and really look around the neighborhood and the lake before I would make a decision on something like this.
Well, I'm well aware of the neighborhood and that, you know, and
Okay, well, I've
we
said my
have good
piece.
pictures of inside as well.
I've
Yeah.
said my piece, and you know, I don't know. I wouldn't be able to decide a case like this without knowing more. This is a tough case, a difficult case, and like I said, Mr. Roy has done a nice job of presenting it. But you know, there's a lot to these cases. It's not simple. Anyway, that's my 2 cents as far as
Okay, thank you.
you know, go into making a motion or, you know, going
Oh.
forward. You know, it's up to the Board of Assessment Appeals. You have 2
And I'm,
members.
I'm still gonna say that I don't know enough about real estate that looking at his house would change my mind to
Right.
not accept a certified appraisal.
Okay,
Me too.
good point.
I would be willing to make a motion to, I mean, we deal strictly with assessment, but to get to the assessment amount, we have to lower the appraisal amount. And I would be willing to lower the appraisal amount to 850,000. That would take 23,400 off the appraisal, if that would help you. But I could not agree to take off $108,400 because I think your house is worth more than that. So
You might force me to find out.
I can make a motion.
The only thing I would accept is what, like Linda just said, I
Okay.
went and paid for is the
That
certified
probably,
appraisal, and it came in at 765, which was higher than I expected, but that's what I
Okay.
want for the appeal.
well, then I think we should just let you, your best bet would be to go to court. Because
So should I make that motion for the 765? And then if you vote no, he's gonna go to court anyway, right?
I think
oh,
you
he's
should,
gonna go to court.
think you
I
should
won't
make your-
even,
I think
I
you should
won't
make-
even second the motion, so it wouldn't pass. Okay, there's no point in doing this for nothing. So, I mean, if you want to do it, but then I won't second it, so it will be a moot point. But I
Well,
think,
Linda, you can go on record saying 765 is what you would.
I will do that.
okay. You want to make
Because
a
I can
motion?
use that.
I'll make a
use that.
motion that we use the certified appraisal report of $765,000.
Okay, and I will second it, but then I'll vote no. Okay, and you vote yes.
Yes.
So Amanda, you have those, the motion and the 2 votes to record. The amount was 765,000 that she made the motion for.
Yes.
Okay.
And Georgette, what do you base only the 23,000 reduction on so that it's recorded?
It was just, I thought, well, if we drop it a little bit, then you wouldn't have to go to court, but if it's not enough, I can understand. I sympathize with you, but I don't know. I have a lot of faith in John Chaponis and his ability along with vision, and he's gone around 7 times. He offered to let me go with him because he's trying to be fair around the lake properties. It isn't the same as the town, I'm sure. And if that would cause a big.
Well, it's also the disparities that I showed you for the lake properties and increases as well.
Yeah, well, there's a lot
He
of other
said
factors.
he's on record of 43% with a high of 70 on the 31st.
Yeah,
I'm a high of 82, so that's at least one off.
okay, well, you make your point in court, okay? And it was nice meeting you, and
Okay.
good luck.
Yes, thank you for all your hard work.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Here, let me get next. Where is my other paper now? Alan is up. Oops.
We're just gonna take a couple minutes of a break before we,
Sure, we
ahead.
can. Sure,
Okay.
absolutely. This is. Here is Alan's, here's Alan's. Fine. This is Dan's. Okay, is everybody ready to resume?
Yep, I unmuted.
Okay.
We're all set. and Alan's here.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm kind
Alan.
of,
You did not have an appraisal done, Alan?
yeah, no, I did the appraisal.
I don't have a copy of it.
Well, I have it right here.
The town
I have,
never got a.
I have it
copy.
with me.
The town didn't get a copy then. Is that correct?
I was told I could bring it to the hearing.
Well, that's true, but you knew I wouldn't be present. So
Yes,
there's
I
no
know,
way
but I also know that you want John Chaponis to look at it before you vote, right?
No, that was an option. That
My
was an
understanding was John's answer to us was, let me make sure it's an independent certified local appraiser with comparables in the area before you accept it. But the understanding was that we could accept it. So I brought it with me. I'm
Right,
giving it to Linda.
okay.
It'll get disseminated to John. He can go over the 36 pages.
He gave out examples of what he would be looking for, whether they were in the same area or whether he did not say, bring it to me before you make a choice.
I
Okay,
was sitting right next to you.
yeah,
So we didn't hear the same thing?
no,
I took notes on it.
well, it's not necessary for him for us to take it to him. But I would have
His-
liked to have a copy.
His comment, he wanted to be sure that it was a bona fide report from an
Mhm.
independent appraiser using comparables to the area. He
Right,
said that in the past, he's seen comparables that didn't apply
right.
and he wouldn't accept them. That's
His
what he,
answer, yeah, but his answer was to you when you asked if you could bring an appraisal, get an appraisal and bring it, and was his answer to you. He did not say the board should let me look at it first.
Well, if I may, Georgette,
Yeah,
I think that he did say that he would be willing to look at anything that,
yes, he
You know,
would.
and that would be subsequent to the hearing.
are you
So
a board member?
I don't remember all the details that you stated, Alan, but I did remember that he was willing to, as of course he would be, he was willing to look at any submissions from anybody at the
Right.
hearing. If you wanted, if the board wanted them to see it, it's up to the board. But, I would see no problem with that. With him seeing it, and if Georgette doesn't have it in front of her because of the unusual nature of this proceeding, she has to be at home, so, she's not there in the room, obviously. So obviously, she's not gonna have the benefit of the appraisal except for the, what you can say about it today. Unless you can put it up on the screen, which you probably can't.
What was the amount that that Linda came up for yours?
Well,
The same.
first you're
Okay.
assuming it's Linda.
Yeah.
Well, all the other ones are all for Linda, so I'm assuming, yes, every
Well,
one
I
of them.
called 3 appraisers and nobody had time to do mine
I'm not-
except Greg and Linda Fortin.
It
That's the
doesn't
only
matter.
people that were able to come out, and my explanation was there's so many properties for sale that the banks are really pushing them to get them all done.
Right, and I
And
don't
this,
have a
and this
problem.
woman was in the Andover area with her partner doing like, I don't know, umpteen appraisals.
Well, all of our appeals on the lake were done by her, or appraisals on the lake were done by her, so it's pretty safe to assume yours was too. But what was the figure your appraiser gave you?
432,000.
432,000, okay, as opposed to 494,
Correct.
okay.
And what I'd like to say here is my house was built in 1930.
Is
It
he been sworn?
hasn't had any
Excuse me,
addition.
Alan, wait a minute. Has he been sworn in?
Oh, sorry. Well,
No, I haven't been.
Yeah, he should be
when
sworn
you
in.
sign the application for an appeal, it's there. I'll swear
Okay.
you in.
Okay, I'm not happy with that language. That sounds like he's saying in the appeal application that the paperwork is true or something like that. What, when you read it, it's okay, but it's not the language I would use. I'm gonna give you some language to use at
Okay.
your next hearing.
Do you hereby declare?
Can I ask a question? It's confusing me. Dennis, are you part of the board? I mean, how does this?
No, I am
work?
not part of the board, but I know that you have to be sworn in. So that's why.
No, I
I'm-
understand, but can anybody in the public talk?
I'm the town
No.
attorney.
We do
I
have. a public-
understand your position. That's not my question. My question is, at a BAA hearing, are you in attendance and able to partake of it?
I'm able to offer suggestions as to process, procedure. Sure.
I'm not familiar with that. I mean, I
thought
was
I
told.
thought I said that, Alan, when we met a few weeks ago.
Yeah, no, you said you would, if we had questions and we wanted to ask them, we'd get them answered. I didn't know that you were preemptory in doing this.
Well, when I see somebody it's required by state law that the witnesses be sworn in.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with it.
That's all I said. That's all I said. Okay? All right.
Georgette, you're gonna read it?
I will.
Go ahead.
Do you
Go ahead.
hereby? What? Oh, do you hereby declare under penalty of false statement that the above statement, according to the best of your knowledge, remembrance, and belief, is a true statement?
Yes, I do. In stating for the record, my name is Alan E. Roy. I live at 340 Lake Road, Andover, Connecticut, 06232. I've lived there for approximately 16 plus years. It's a 1930s built cottage that's been remodeled many times. The last time it was remodeled was 16 years ago. It has had nothing else done to it in those 16 years. So the inside of the house is called a B quality home. The majority of the flooring is plywood with rug on it or linoleum tile in the bathroom. It's not an especially spectacular home, but it's my home.
It says
Having
hardwood
said
here.
that, excuse me,
Do you have a hardwood floor somewhere? Because it has.
I have it in the kitchen and the
Okay.
living room,
Okay,
but the 3 bedrooms are all rugged over plywood
right,
and the 2 bathrooms are linoleum.
okay.
So having said that, it's a 1600, let's see, I'll give you the
1662.
1662 square foot
Right,
home. It's not large. And it's on a very sloped lot. From the driveway to the front door is 21 steps down.
yeah,
This property is maintained by me. It's not extraordinary. I didn't, any of the landscaping is done by me. And having said that, the septic system is at best guess not on record with the town hall. And they think it may fail in the very near future, in which case it'll need to be replaced. But because of its current location, I also need a well. So I would need a septic and a well in the near future for this home. And to say that it's worth 500,000 to me is a big grasp. And so I went out and I hired a certified independent appraisal service, not from a bank, not from my insurers, not from my companies, an independent appraisal. What is this house worth? And I have this and I'm submitting it to Linda, the appraisal report. I don't know if it would do any good to read it. It's pretty extensive with area comparables and similar in years and size. And it comes out, as stated just previously to 432,000, which is approximately $60,000+ less than the town's guesstimate. And so that's what I'm presenting. I'm not, I can tell you everything I would say about it, but it's kind of doesn't really make a difference. It's certified. And these people are professionals. I'm not. That's why I hired them. And so I would submit to the board this appraisal for this price and expect that it be entertained appropriately. Do you have any questions?
How do we want to do this, Georgette?
Well, right now, I'm just looking at a comparable, see, that's what we have to go by is comparing.
Well, you can pause there. You can,
330
vote.
Rank Road.
as long as it's certified independent.
Well, the assessor is also professional.
I can't hear you.
I said the assessor is also a professional and has been.
He's an
doing-
assessor, not an appraiser.
That's true, but he knows what he's doing.
Georgette, he's an assessor, not an appraiser. Fair market value appraisal are the standard in the state of Connecticut at the Britain Superior Court by decision. That's been stated. If you think you're the appraiser, I'd like to hear your appraisal of my home. I'm not an appraiser. I can't just give you a value and say, hey, this is what my home is worth. So this person who I hired and paid apparently has worked in the greater Hebron Andover area for over 30 years and has apparently a good relationship with John Chaponis for over 25 years.
Sure.
So I don't see the issue, but I will present it to you guys to figure out because I'm presenting, not voting.
Right.
Okay, there's a similar house at 330. That's 459. Let's see. Sold for 479.9. Wow. See, again, fair market value. This house at 330, which is near you, sold in August of 21 for 475,000.
Was it built in 1930?
That's
Is it
immaterial.
1,600 square feet?
Mine was
It's on a
built.
sloped lot.
mine
Georgette,
was-
I cannot appraise my house. I'm not qualified. I'm presenting a certified independent appraisal from a Connecticut licensed appraiser that lives in Hebron, less than 8 miles away.
Mhm.
So I'm telling you that that is the standard for the state of Connecticut.
And what I'm telling you is that we have to go by fair market value according to the sales.
That's what this
in our
is.
Area, the sales in our area are showing different.
Georgette, this is an appraiser. This is a certified appraiser who has examined comparables in the area, and you're bouncing around like looking at other properties, giving an opinion. What, as an appraiser? You're a member of the Board of Assessment Appeals. Is the standard being met? Am I presenting an appraisal from a certified independent appraiser based on fair market value? Yes.
But I'm looking at sales, recent sales in the area, which.
I have
determines fair market
I have
value.
4 of them in this booklet.
Okay. Then I guess what you're
There's
saying
4
is
of
you
them.
want to go to court unless we give you what you want.
Excuse me?
I said, what you're saying is you're going to go to court unless we.
Oh,
give-
absolutely.
Okay.
And I'm telling you that by ignoring an independent fair market value certified appraisal, you're doing the wrong thing. You're not an appraiser. I'm not an appraiser. Linda's not an appraiser. The standard is an appraisal. I don't know why your feet are so entrenched in mud.
I
I'm
don't
gonna
think-
jump in here again.
You don't need to insult me.
I'm gonna jump in here again, and I just want to repeat what I've said before, that an appraisal is very, very heavy proof. It's very good proof of value, but it is not conclusive proof. And
Nothing is
and
conclusive.
the appraiser is not a member of this board, and the appraiser cannot decide these cases. I suggest before, since she hasn't seen the appraisal, I suggest that the Board of Assessment Appeals at least defer a decision on this until she gets a chance to read it and review it with Mr. Chaponis. Because it all depends on the comparables and whether the comparables that she used are the best ones, are the ones that really show value. And if they are, then the appraisal, you should be weighted very heavily. But that is how it works. The comparables are not always the best ones. In this situation, they may be. But that needs to be, I think that John's offer that you pointed out, Alan, should be followed up with. I think that Georgette has not seen the appraisal because she's not present. And I think you should defer decision on this case until Georgette at least has a chance to read the appraisal, and the board, consisting of Georgette and Linda, decide whether to refer the appraisal to John for his, his take on it.
I will
That's
make a motion that we defer decision until I get to see the appraisal, and Linda and I can talk to John. We will have a special meeting that will have to be warned in order to the two of us to get there together.
I can second that.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Did you get that motion, Amanda? Amanda,
Yes, I did.
okay, thank you. All right, so that's tabled.
All right.
Thank you very much. I will have to come up with another time. Bear in mind, people, that I'm having surgery on the 8th of March, and all of this has to be done before then. I have to get letters out to everyone.
What do you want me to do with the appraisal, Georgia?
Well, I have to have copies, so if you could get the town office to copy them for me and make a copy for John. Maybe Amanda could do that on Monday.
I mean, is there somewhere I can leave this for Amanda, or should I just take it home with me?
Town hall locked up.
It's all locked up. Okay.
Amanda?
All right.
You can leave it
I'll take-
upstairs. The town hall is closed on Monday, unfortunately. It is President's Day,
Day.
so
Oh,
we'll get
that's
it on
right.
Tuesday morning.
Tuesday morning, okay.
You want me to leave it for you?
On top of that black cart?
Is that Alan's appraisal report?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so you can leave it.
On top of the black cart, where the other materials are left?
I'd say I would put it under my door instead, so it's not in a public place, just to make
Which-
sure it's safe and sound.
Which door is yours now?
I share an office with the tax collector.
Okay, all right, so I'll just put it under the door of the tax collector's office.
Okay.
Okay.
Linda, would you be able to meet with, let me see. The attorney, with John Chaponis on the 24th? He comes in at, 5 to 7, but I know you can't get there at 5, but if you could get there before 7.
February 24th. I can't do the evening.
Well, that's when John is there. That's why I mentioned that.
Okay,
Unless we could meet with him separately, then you wouldn't have to warn it as a meeting. That might be easier if I go and see him on the 24th and you go and see him whenever you can. He's there on Mondays from, it's 9 in the morning that he's there on Thursdays.
That's
Can
what I
you-
thought, and I could probably do 9 in the morning.
Okay, then February 24th, I will have it warned as a meeting,
Or 9 AM.
9 AM, yeah. We could probably make it 10 AM. Okay,
No, let's do 9. I have to bring someone for an endoscopy later that day, so I think 9 is better for me.
9 be better for you?
Yep, on that day, yes.
Okay. I don't think I have any medical things that day. Okay.
So Georgia, is that an official BAA meeting?
Yes, it will be an official special meeting.
Okay.
And I will send an agenda. And the difference with a special meeting is that you can only talk about what's on the agenda. You can't add to it. So that's the difference, but it has to be warned. Okay. And it'll be in person. Okay, is that all we have?
All we
That's
have.
all.
Okay, thank you very much. I get a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank
know
you
how to put
too.
this
Thank you, Dennis, for being here.
Thank you.